Welcome to Vital Life Stories. Today, we witness a profound tale of human courage, standing strong against the ultimate natural disaster. In a quiet coastal village, life moved peacefully until dark clouds gathered, signaling an unprecedented storm that would test everyone's absolute limits. Emergency sirens echoed through the narrow streets as terrified residents hurriedly packed their belongings, desperate to escape the approaching atmospheric monster. While thousands fled toward safer grounds, a solitary figure walked against the panicked crowd, heading directly toward the fragile local hospital. Dr. Aris, a seasoned physician, made the ultimate choice to volunteer and stay behind, prioritizing his vulnerable patients over personal safety. Inside the dimly lit ward, bedridden patients watched anxiously as the wind began to howl, rattling the thin glass windows violently. He moved from bed to bed, offering comforting smiles and gentle words, masking his own deep fears to maintain calm inside. The sky turned an unnatural shade of purple as the first massive waves crashed against the distant seawall with terrifying force. Rain lashed against the hospital walls like a barrage of bullets, signaling that the true nightmare was finally beginning to unfold. Suddenly, the main power grid failed completely, plunging the entire medical facility into an eerie, suffocating darkness that terrified the patients. Aris quickly ignited emergency lanterns, their flickering amber light casting long, dramatic shadows across the crowded, tense emergency medical room walls. He calmly instructed his small team of brave nurses to secure the medical supplies, knowing they would need every single bandage. Outside, the hurricane reached Category 5 status, ripping ancient trees from their deep roots and sending debris flying through the air. The deafening roar of the tempest drowned out all human voices, making communication between the medical staff incredibly difficult and strained. A sudden crash echoed down the hallway as a heavy tree branch smashed through the main lobby reinforced double-glass doors. Rainwater immediately flooded the entrance, forcing the doctor and nurses to quickly build makeshift barricades using heavy wooden reception area desks. Back in the intensive care unit, a critical patient ventilator alarm started beeping wildly, indicating a dangerous drop in oxygen levels. Without hesitation, Aris grabbed a manual resuscitator bag, rhythmically pumping vital air into the frail patient lungs with steady, determined medical hands. For 3 grueling hours, he stood by the bedside, manually keeping the elderly man breathing while the storm raged fiercely outside tonight. The structural integrity of the old hospital began to fail as violent wind gusts continuously hammered against the weakened brick exterior. A terrifying, tearing sound echoed from above as a large section of the hospital tin roof was violently ripped completely away. Freezing rain poured directly into the surgical ward, threatening to cause severe hypothermia among the already fragile and recovering surgical patients. Aris immediately ordered the evacuation of the exposed ward, physically carrying patients on his back to the safer underground concrete bunker. The basement was cold and damp, but its thick concrete walls offered the only true sanctuary from the deadly flying debris. Huddled together in the dim flashlight beam, the patients looked at their doctor, finding immense hope in his unwavering, calm demeanor. He checked every single pulse, administered necessary medications by memory, and whispered stories of hope to distract them from the terror. Suddenly, the heavy basement door rattled violently as floodwaters began seeping underneath, threatening to drown their final, desperate place of refuge. The medical team desperately stuffed blankets and old clothes under the doorframe, fighting a losing battle against the rising tide. Aris realized they needed a pump, remembering an old manual water pump stored in the maintenance closet at the far end. Braving the deep, cold water in the flooded corridor, he waded through floating debris to retrieve the heavy, rusted iron pump. Exhausted and freezing, he dragged the heavy equipment back, immediately setting it up to drain the dangerously rising water level inside. Every muscle in his body burned with agonizing pain. But the thought of his helpless patients gave him superhuman strength tonight. A young pregnant woman in the corner suddenly cried out in intense pain, signaling that her premature labor had unexpectedly begun. Amidst the chaos of the flooded basement, Aris quickly prepared a sterile area using the last remaining clean medical supply kits. The howling wind outside seemed to mock their desperate situation, but the doctor remained incredibly focused on the mother and child. With limited tools and no anesthesia, he guided the brave mother through the excruciating delivery process with soothing, encouraging vocal support. A sharp cry finally pierced the darkness, bringing tears of absolute joy to everyone huddled inside the freezing, waterlogged concrete basement. Holding the fragile newborn, wrapped in a warm thermal blanket, Aris felt a profound surge of hope amidst the surrounding destruction. The birth of this innocent child became a powerful symbol of resilient life, boldly defying the destructive forces of angry nature. However, the storm was far from over. The eye of the hurricane passed, bringing the terrifying second wave of destructive winds. The entire building shook violently, dust and small concrete fragments falling from the ceiling as the structural pillars groaned under pressure. Aris stood directly beneath a cracking beam, using his own body as a physical shield to protect the newborn and mother. He closed his eyes, silently praying for the building to hold together just a little longer until the fierce winds subsided. Time seemed to lose all meaning in that dark basement, every passing minute feeling like an eternity of anxiety and fear. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the deafening roar of the outside wind began to fade into a lower, less threatening rumble. The floodwaters stopped rising, and the relentless pounding of heavy rain against the remaining windows gradually reduced to a gentle drizzle. Exhaustion finally overtook the brave doctor, his knees buckling slightly as he leaned against the cold concrete wall for physical support. Dawn broke slowly, casting a pale grayish light through the small basement ventilation shafts, signaling the end of their long nightmare. Aris cautiously opened the heavy basement door, stepping out into the ruined hallway to assess the massive devastation left behind today. The hospital was completely unrecognizable. Walls had collapsed, medical equipment lay smashed, and thick mud covered every single inch of floor. Yet, as he looked back down into the basement, he saw his patients breathing, alive, and completely safe from the storm. He had successfully completed his sacred mission, preserving fragile human life against the absolute worst wrath that nature could ever unleash. Outside, the village was completely leveled. Houses reduced to mere piles of splintered wood and shattered glass scattered across the landscape. Rescue helicopters soon appeared on the distant horizon, their rhythmic blade sounds bringing the first promise of outside help and relief. Emergency responders descended upon the ruined hospital, absolutely astonished to find the entire patient ward alive and well in the basement. The lead rescue commander shook the exhausted doctor muddy hand, tears welling in his eyes, recognizing the true magnitude of heroism. Villagers who had evacuated slowly returned, weeping openly as they saw their beloved family members safely carried out on rescue stretchers. They gathered around the exhausted physician, their silent expressions of deep gratitude speaking volumes more than any spoken words ever could. Aris simply nodded, his tired eyes reflecting the profound humility of a man who only did what his conscience strictly demanded. News of his incredible bravery quickly spread across the nation, turning the humble rural doctor into an inspiring symbol of hope. Journalists flocked to the ruined village, eager to capture the remarkable story of the medical hero who fought the ultimate storm. But Aris avoided the flashing cameras, choosing instead to focus entirely on setting up a temporary medical tent for the injured. He knew that the true battle was just beginning. The long, difficult road to physical and emotional recovery lay ahead now. His unwavering dedication reminded everyone that true heroes do not wear capes. They wear simple white coats and carry stethoscopes daily. In the face of absolute destruction, the enduring power of human kindness and professional responsibility proved stronger than any natural disaster. The village slowly rebuilt itself over the following months, constructing a brand new, strong hospital right on the exact same spot. A beautiful bronze plaque was proudly installed at the entrance, forever commemorating the miraculous survival and the doctor's incredible, selfless sacrifice. The newborn baby, now growing strong and healthy, became the living embodiment of the miraculous triumph of life over sudden death. Every time the wind howls, the villagers no longer feel paralyzed by fear, knowing they have a dedicated guardian watching over. This profound story stands as a timeless testament to the incredible resilience of the human spirit when faced with impossible odds. It teaches us that compassion, courage, and unwavering duty can brilliantly illuminate even the darkest, most terrifying moments of our lives. We are reminded that one single individual, brave choice can ripple outward, saving countless lives and inspiring an entire broken community. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey of survival, sacrifice, and the unbreakable strength of the human medical spirit. This has been another inspiring episode from Vital Life Stories. Stay strong, stay compassionate, and we will see you next time.